Let's listen to this MSNBC clip talking about America's asymmetric polarization. And he says what the right represents and what the left represents. Let's find out from MSNBC what that means.
I mean, it's easy in American discourse to talk simplistically about the far left and the far right as two equally dangerous fringe blocks. Elon Musk has done it plenty of times just in the past week. But here's the difference. America's far left wants to give us free healthcare and free childcare. America's far right wants to give us white supremacy and no democracy. And this asymmetrical polarization of US politics would be laughable if it weren't so horrifying.
Okay, America's far left wants to give you free healthcare and free childcare. That's what sums up leftism in America today, according to this MSNBC host. The far right wants to give you what? White supremacy? I don't want to hear exactly what he said.
And no democracy.
White supremacy and no democracy. I'm speechless. I'm speechless that this is representative of American media. Imagine being from another country right now and being like, I want to check out what's happening in America and just like watch their news for a second and see what their country's like, because I hear so much about America. And you hear this guy saying the far left represents free healthcare and free childcare, and the far right represents white supremacy and no democracy. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, at least try to be semi in good faith when you make an argument about a side that you express opposition towards. And that's the issue. It's one of the things that we talk about when we talk about comedy and comedy dying and all of this stuff, that comedy used to be so good, and SNL even used to be so good. They would make fun of all these different politicians, but it was funny because they had just an air of respect for the people that they were making fun of, even if they disagreed with them. There's no respect. There's no understanding of why you might have a dissident opinion to whatever legacy media believes. There's no understanding that maybe your life experiences and your values are different from theirs, and that could be something that's reasonable. No, you're immediately a white supremacist. You're immediately a threat to democracy, which blows my mind, because if you're following Twitter and this whole Elon Musk thing right now, Elon bought Twitter to instill an air of democracy in the app and on the platform, where people can actually say what they believe without this threat of being censored and deplatformed and having their livelihoods ruined on the app. Yet conservatives are the ones who are a threat to democracy. We saw the leftists come out and say, how dare he buy Twitter, another billionaire buying a platform to what? Instill free speech, and that's your problem? That's your problem. That you don't want to hear people that disagree with you be able to speak. Is that emblematic of democracy? Because if so, I need to go back to civics class, because I did not learn that.
Yep. Free speech is a threat to democracy, but biology is hate speech, apparently.
Right. Biology is hate speech. Free speech is a threat to democracy. Good is bad. Bad is good. Up is down. Left is right. And you're all evil if you disagree with anything that I just said. That's essentially what we've just gleaned from what we've heard from this MSNBC host. And he's still, I can't imagine anybody's watching this show, but apparently there are people watching this show, and this is what they're learning from these programs. So let's really attack this idea really quick. All the left wants is free healthcare and free childcare. Okay. I'll posit that those two things actually are on the list of political asks from the left. Okay, free healthcare, free childcare. I'll give you that. That's on your base. What's also on your base is educating kids about sexuality and gender theory in schools. Doing the very same with critical race theory, not just in schools, in all of our institutions, in high school, middle school, kindergarten, colleges, your different organizations, your corporations, legacy media, social media. You are actively pushing this ideology onto them. You are starting a race war in America, essentially, by refusing to accept the idea that, hey, systemic racism really doesn't exist anymore, causing record rates of inflation with progressive policy and refusing to make our country energy independent, and hurting everybody at the gas tank, at the grocery store, at their jobs, in the workforce. And it's just free healthcare and free childcare. this entire COVID narrative that we've had to deal with for the past 2 years, with all of these lockdowns, with you pitting people against each other for not receiving a medical treatment that you are allowing massive big pharma corporations to make billions and billions of dollars from, not to mention the entire globalist agenda attached to the World Economic Forum and this whole you will own nothing and be very happy. That's not a right-wing view. It's a leftist view, but it's just free healthcare. And it's just free childcare, ladies and gentlemen, not to mention being beholden to the establishment government, establishment media, these establishment corporations, whereas the left was never like that before. The left used to be pro-skepticism. Now it's if you are a skeptic on anything, you are a liar, you are a white supremacist, and you don't deserve speech. But it's just free healthcare and free childcare. That's all we want. I can guarantee you, tomorrow, if we woke up and as a nation decided that everybody was going to have free healthcare and free childcare, even the hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants that you just let into this country on a whim, guess what the left would do? They would continue. They would continue with all the things that they're doing right now. And that list that I just mentioned is nowhere near the slew of things, the slew of agendas that they are working on day in and day out in this country that is causing destabilization like we've never seen before. But it's just free healthcare and free childcare, according to this guy. And I'm a white supremacist. Can you imagine that? It's a new day and a new dawn. You truly can be anything in America because I am a half-black woman sitting in front of you right now being called a white supremacist.
This is, I don't know what to say. It's hate speech.
It is.
Misinformation.
This almost made me speechless. If I wasn't able to just get my footing right there to throw all those things at you, this almost made me speechless listening
It's like we
to
often
this.
say, it's the confidence for me too. Like the fact that you're saying this unironically is pretty rich.
He said this with a straight face. There was no laughter. There was no spit take afterwards. There was no little giggle or off look to somebody behind the camera holding a gun to your head. He said this on his own volition. He truly believes it.
The right's the biggest threat to democracy, and if you disagree, we're going to ban you from speaking ever again and cut you off all the platforms and take away your speech.
Yeah. The right is the biggest threat to democracy. Also, you shouldn't have to have an ID card to vote in the United States. But they're the biggest threat to democracy. Unbelievable.